A show based on the facts, honesty, the man, the myth, the legend, ChristiTutionalist, Joseph M. Leonard.
Welcome to ChristiTutionalist Politics Podcast, aka CTP. I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard, and that's Leonard. CTP is your no muss, no fuss, just me, you, and occasional guest type podcast. Really appreciate you tuning in. As Graham Norton would say, let's get on with the show! Hello, everyone. A brief special intro to this week's show. You know, Saturdays I normally have on monologues that are in conjunction with a written article at thelibertybeacon.com. Well, we're working through some issues. So today's show, as well as an occasional other Saturday show here and there, may not be a monologue in conjunction with thelibertybeacon.com as I work to sync and coordinate, juggle before it's news.com, thelibertybeacon.com, as well as now introducing Substack as an outlet for my articles, needing to try to coordinate and sync them all together, and some Saturdays that may or may not happen. So instead, going to get what would normally be a Wednesday guest appearance drop. So just a brief intro to let you know what's going on. Hey, ho, ho, the CTP has got to go. Interplanetary? I'm already international. I guess that joke don't work. I sure don't want my show to go away. But at any rate, I lead with tongue-in-cheek, farcical play, getting my protest mode ready, right? Hey, ho, ho, the penny has got to go. I say no. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 90, pre-recording ahead. Miscellaneous, we'll call this show, right? Pennies, EOs, declassified documents, BirthRight Citizenship, Issue 1. Penny, got to go? No. Have people not thought this through? Like I say, I sure don't have Trump derangement syndrome, but I'm sure not a Trump cultist either. Just because he says something doesn't mean I get out my red hat, rah, hooray for my guy, anything he says. No, because I have a functioning brain. And as you've always known, principles, not personalities. Just because Trump makes the correct point, if it costs 3 cents to make a penny that's worth 1 cent, there's a problem there. The solution is not just not making pennies any longer. Make them of tin and paint them copper. Whatever, we can discuss it. There are other solutions, whether my off the top of my head one works or not, or another. There are other solutions to jumping to the drastic measure of let's just eliminate it. I get it. It is wasteful. I'm all on board with eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse, and this is wasteful. So let's look for a solution, not a knee-jerk reaction, because us thinkers understand, the slippery slope argument. How many times, you say, That'll never happen. That's not what we're talking about. We're not going to do that. That will never happen. And years later, of course, told you so. Slippery slope. Here we are today on gone from tolerance and acceptance to you must advocate for me. You must sponsor what I like and what I do. Compelled speech. No, that's illegal. That's not constitutional. And of course, that's a whole other issue, right? The penny. What is the slippery slope? And mind you, let me state here, I'm not trying to call anyone stupid. We are all ignorant of things that we've yet to research and come to understand and look for fact-based things in our research. We are all ignorant of things. I'm ignorant of many things. When I heard the penny thing, my gut reaction was no. Well, my feelings don't matter here. What can I think of? What is the logic and reason behind my no? It isn't like a leftard with TDS to just oppose Trump because anything he says, I got to oppose. That's, of course, the leftard mindset. I don't have Trump derangement syndrome. I didn't have Biden derangement syndrome. I oppose Biden on principles, and I could lay out logic and reason based on my principles. Why? Not just knee-jerk reaction, emotional, hysterical snowflakeism. Same thing here. Why do I say no? What is that slippery slope you may not have just thought about? You haven't thought it through. You just heard for the first time recently. Penny costs 3 cents to make. It's worth a penny. Let's eliminate it. At first blush, that might seem reasonable, but it is not. What is the slippery slope? You're listening to a Christian show, Revelation. We know how it ends. The mark of the beast. Well, what does the penny have to do with the mark of the beast? That's slippery slope. So we eliminate the penny today. So first off, what are they going to do? They're not going to round down your taxes. Every price you pay will then be rounded up to the nearest nickel. Your taxes will automatically go up to the nearest nickel. I don't care the difference of 4 cents. The 4 cents belong to me. No, you are not rounding up my sales tax or my federal income tax or my state tax or my property tax, any tax. No, no, no. For that reason alone, you're not rounding it up because it's a digital payment all of a sudden. No, that's item one. But that ultimate slippery slope, the mark of the beast, if I eliminate the penny today, that's then the argument and excuse for eliminating all monetary physical measurements. Let's eliminate all the coins. They're expensive. Paper money's easier. Let's then just round everything up to the next dollar. No. Or worse, right? Let's eliminate all physical, transactional, legal tenders entirely and go all digital. Well, what is that? Heading headlong to the mark of the beast. If you don't have the mark, if you don't have the government's approval, you don't get to buy or sell. So eliminate the penny, not just no, hell bleeping no. No, 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 from now to doomsday, even if it does keep costing 3 cents to make the 1 cent penny. No, and no again, and no forever. And now you understand the logic and the reasoning others aren't telling you. You're not hearing this anywhere else. Of course, the right stations, the Trump pro-Trump stations are all, yeah, rah, 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 rah.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Joseph M. Leonard, host of ChristiTutionalist, taking a brief moment to thank myarchit.com. Together, we share the Christian and family value of honoring family. MyArchit.com helps you do that. Preserving family memories online also, therefore, can be shared online. Think of MyArchit like a Noah's Ark for images, audio, video, preserving, honoring your family. Thank you again to the folks over at myarchit.com.
No, think for yourself. I don't agree with everything Trump says. That's an example. And anything Trump says, I'm willing to entertain. I'm as anti-tax as they come. That means I'm anti-tariff. But it also means that there can be exceptions to a rule, and I'm willing to give Trump the benefit of the doubt and support him in the tariff efforts as an exception to my normal rule of no, no, no. No new taxes, no higher taxes, any kind, for any reason. But this is an exception. What would you, the right station to rah, 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 the left, I forgot to say, all right, just Trump said it, so they got to oppose it, right? There's no logic or reason. But, oh, now I lost the other point I was going to. The tariffs, my exception. A lot of these tariff threats are just that. They're threats. Hey, morons. Read The Art of the Deal. This is the art of the deal. He's not meaning to put on tariffs, but if and when and where he does, I'm willing to back him up because I'm for free trade, but I'm not for America being everybody's sucker trade. It is indeed fair trade, as Trump says. If you impose a tariff on us, we impose one back on you. I have no problem. And the left is constantly whining about fairness, 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 and equity, equity, equity. That's all Trump's talking about here. And I also don't like protectionism. But from a national security standpoint, it is indeed an exception to the rule. We must keep steel and certain other manufacturing things active in our nation. It's a matter of security, national defense. The arsenal of democracy isn't the arsenal for anything or anyone ever if we can't make stuff to defend freedom here and abroad. So those are the arguments about the penny and also kind of the tariff to give you a back and forth. I'm willing to break my rules for Trump on the tariffs. I am not going to agree with him on the penny, and for all the reasons I laid out. But anyway, I spent way longer on that particular subsegment of the miscellaneous today than I was expecting to. Executive orders. Now, if you've tuned into the prior episodes, and if you haven't, why haven't you? The We the People Demand List, parts 1 and 2, as well as episodes on Doge, absolutely. Cuts at the executive level with Doge, all for them. Executive orders that are legal, that are lawful, unlike Biden and his stupid student loan debt, illegal and unconstitutional EO, where we can do things through EO, I am for if they are legal and proper. But beyond that, for them to have any force of law beyond Trump's term, if somehow they steal the next election and The Kamalunist, just for sake of argument, takes over. You think things were bad enough under the Bidenomics. Wait till Cackles puts in full communomics. But just for sake of argument, she gets in, she can do just what Trump did. Just EO, reverse one EO. Whatever Trump did, I undo it. So in order to make them last, we need Congress to pass them as laws, and the president sign. Any future administration would then need to, of course, the left is just unlawful and use the leftist activist courts to ignore the laws until it goes to Supreme Court and they're forced to follow the law unless they get control of the courts back too. Then that's shot, control of SCOTUS. But at least if Congress passes a law and Trump signs it, there's a little more weight than just an EO. And that's what We the People Demand list is all about. And I got to say, I'm a bit disappointed in my friends out there not signing it, not sharing it. It's like the Pantene commercial, right? Tell two people, they tell two people, they sell two people. Then, right, pretty soon you got a movement. We need a movement here for the We the People Demand list to demand Mike Johnson, who I supported, better than McCarthy, who was better than Paul Ryan, but is still way far short of what we really need and what we really should have as a speaker. He's somewhat weak. We need to keep pressure on him and all our Congress critters, as well as pressure on Thune, the new leader. Again, I would have preferred a different one. Thune, better than McRhino, Turtle, right? Steps in the right direction, but we're still nowhere we need to be. Why? No, you cannot rest. You must keep pressure on Congress to pass these into law. Other things need constitutional amendment power and restraints on our government, like term limits. Either we add term limits for Congress or we remove them from president. One or the other. There's no consistency. There must be consistent constraints. If they apply to the executive, they need to apply to Congress. And in a lot of ways, that's the only way we're going to get things done. But of course, the current Congress critters will exempt themselves. So a constitutional amendment towards term limits will, of course, mean, they'll be grandfathered in, but it'll at least apply in the future. Other things like, I can't remember what all I go into now. I'm up to 53 items in the We the People Demand list. And again, we're not going to agree on all of them. That isn't the point. If you're looking at it and say, well, I don't agree with items 7 and 12, so I'm going to ignore all 53. Please, that's just stupid. We need to put pressure so they at least bring up and discuss and bring bills to the floor on all these. Then we can, on an individual specific topic basis, pressure our representatives either for or against it and why we think about it, our logic and reason behind supporting or opposing, not our feelings and what the media is drumming up to get us into emotional hysterics about, selling fear porn, like with the Convention of States. Runaway convention, retardism. Give me a break. Even if it were, you're not going to get the requisite number of states to ratify a repeal of the Second Amendment. People, I'm with Mark Levin on this. We need a convention of states, but short of that, we need Congress to at least start the process like the one I added the other day, item 53, returning to the gold standard or something that backs our money. Otherwise, BRICS, that is backed by precious metals and minerals will supplant the U.S. dollar eventually. It's not going to happen overnight. It may take 50 years because it's probably going to take 10, 12, 15 years to get a constitutional amendment passed to get it. Then it's going to take at least another 20 years to be able to phase it in. We can't do it overnight. There's not enough gold, if there's any gold there, in Fort Knox to do that. And gold, silver, platinum won't do it alone. We could back our certificates with rare earth minerals, as the discussion with Ukraine going on. What little we've got, we can use as part of the reserve currency backing. We must back it with something, or the U.S. dollar no longer the world's reserve currency, and the United States collapses. That slippery slope again. We got to think. So constitutional amendments, we have to at least start the process of putting forth one, having the conversation, hopefully getting it passed and then sent to the states for then further debate and either ratification or not. But the point being, EOs, they could go away overnight just as quickly as they came in. Declassification of documents, MLK, RFK, JFK, keep getting promised. Were those released? Did I miss it? They were supposed to have been. As I record this, the Epstein files were supposed to be released. Of course, nothing but black print. All redacted, 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 redacted. No, we demand the files complete. Well, somebody's phone number or address can't be on there, but you can't redact the names. That's the point of releasing the information. We got to know the names, but they're redacting everything. No. So the RFK, JFK, MLK Jr. files should be completely unredacted. There's no excuse for anything to be blotted out because most of the people involved are dead. Any addresses or phone numbers, long irrelevant now, don't matter. So those should be all completely unredacted. And the Epstein list, while I argued on a show the other day, we have to be careful. How many people do you meet when you're out and about? You might go to an event and strike up a conversation with someone on a particular topic. So you exchange information. You're in somebody else's contact list, though they might be doing something else that's shady. Then all of a sudden they're arrested and their contact list comes out and you're on it. Well, that's the point with the Epstein list. The contact list means nothing. Millionaires and billionaires are together at parties all the time and with celebrities all the time. They're sharing information. It means doesn't mean they had anything to do with Pedo Island, like the case with Trump. Trump flew on an Epstein plane from Atlanta to New York while Trump's plane was down for maintenance one time. That has nothing whatsoever to do with Trump and Epstein at one point having exchanged contact information, because later Trump found out about what Epstein was about, banned him from his properties. That's why the left shows a bunch of old photos of Epstein and Trump at some party decades ago, eons ago, certainly before this millennia turned, and ignore all the Clinton names on the flight logs to Pedo Island. Those are the lists that matter. The client list is the list that matters, not the contact list, right? Innocent people could be on the contact list. Innocent people could have been on an Epstein plane at one time. But if you're on a flight log of the plane going to Pedo Island, other than Alan Dershowitz, you really got no explanation or excuse. I say Alan Dershowitz has because Alan Dershowitz represented Epstein in business affairs. He was on retainer as attorney. So there's a lawyer-client privilege there. And indeed, Dershowitz flew down to Pedo Island a few times dealing with issues like that. That doesn't mean he engaged in the pedophilia going on there, and he couldn't say anything. He would be disbarred for breaking attorney-client privilege. That's what I was looking for, attorney-client privilege. But 99.99999%, there might be another Dershowitz that might have a real logical explanation, and I'll be open to it if you can peddle a logical reason explanation. If your name was there once and somehow you didn't know where you were going, what you were getting into, but unlike Bill Clinton, who ditched his Secret Service 7 times, and several Secret Service whistleblowers said he ditched them several times to get on Pedo Island flights. Why? Because Secret Service is a law enforcement branch. You can't have them around when you're going somewhere you know you're breaking laws. So the Trump, Clinton, Epstein nexus isn't anywhere close to being the same, and we must be careful. The contacts list means nothing. The client list, we need to see the names all unredacted. The flight logs, we need to see all unredacted. But don't be surprised, in order to muddy the waters, we've already seen it with lists that have supposedly come out, that have been supposedly leaked. A bunch of different names will be added to phony lists that are leaked in order to muddy the water, so people who are on the list engaged in pedophilia at Pedo Island can say, no, that it wasn't me. I don't know why my name's on there. This is a fake list. So we've got to use our brains and common sense in this. We need to deal with stuff that is legally admissible and had been admitted into the courts. That's the other thing. Epstein is dead now. Okay. So let's release the court files on that then. That would be the true and accurate flight log. That would be the true and accurate client list, as opposed to all these potential fraud phonies. BirthRight Citizen, I'm going long here. So BirthRight Citizen, I'm just going to say, what a farce. The GOP, the Grand Old Party, the Abolitionist Party, the party that freed the slaves, we wrote the Civil Rights Act, including the one LBJ signed saying, I'll have those you-know-what voting Democrat for the next 200 years because I'm going to lie. LBJ lied that it was his. No, he signed the Republican bill that was passed by majority Republicans in the House, majority Republicans in the Senate. LBJ just told them in the Senate to not filibuster it. The Democrats had been filibustering that Civil Rights Act for a long time so that Eisenhower couldn't sign it. It's the same with the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment was written by the Republicans. 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, if you haven't heard, are known as the Republican Amendments for a reason. And the 14th Amendment was passed by majority Republicans. We wrote it. We know what it's about, but yet the left is going to try to tell us what it means when we wrote it. We know what it means. And what it means is it was written and then put forth as an amendment to shore up the Civil Rights Act of 1866 that the Republicans wrote and the Democrats kept blocking and filibustering. So when we had a chance to get through the 14th Amendment to send it on to the states, we did. So the leftard's excuses and moaning and complaining and lies about what the 14th Amendment means are just that, lies. They opposed it. We wrote it. We know what we meant when we wrote it. And if it gets to the Supreme Court, we will be upheld based on the fact, again, all the evidence showing that the Civil Rights Act of 1866 was the basis of the 14th Amendment about freed slaves and others legally here in the United States who had a child. You had to legally be here to be under the jurisdiction thereof. If you break in, you are not presenting yourself to be under the jurisdiction thereof. You're breaking the law to come in. You are violating the law. You are voiding any right to technically be treated under our Constitution. This is simple stuff, but yet the leftards can never, ever, ever deal in reality and facts. It is all false narratives and whatever delusion they can sucker people into believing. Oh, my throat is now sore. I apologize. I got animated again. I'm going to need a nap now after this. Like I've said in another episode, my appearance on these shows belie my condition. I suffer CFIDs and a whole host of other health issues. It's why I'm on disability. So I'm good for short bursts of energy like this. But then, like now, after this, I need a nap because most of the time I don't have this kind of energy that you see that some people misjudge me by. It's not really the content of my character. It is, it's what I hope to be. It's what I prefer to be all the time, but I can't be all the time because of my bad health. So people may judge based on a wrong impression they get just from the show because they don't know me any other time. But at any rate, I just felt necessary to give that explanation because Michael Gardner, aka Savaged, on Savaged Unfiltered, I'm known as Jokester Joe over there, but he's also joking about calling me Raging Joe. It's like, or Cocaine Joe. I don't do caffeine. Imagine me even if I were on caffeine. I can't do the caffeine either. So just because you see me like this during the shows doesn't mean I'm like this all the time. I'm worn out. I'm tired. I need to sleep a lot. I need to sit around doing nothing a lot of the time. Luckily, I can do fits and bursts of energy enough to do the show twice a week, with the exception of music weeks coming up. Though those have been recorded over time, spread out, though they'll be dropped Monday through Friday, likely 3 weeks in a row. Again, those aren't done all on that day every day. I can't do that every day. That's why I broadcast guest Wednesdays and monologue Saturdays, music week Monday through Friday, several weeks. Those shows are already ready to go. All I have to do is lean over for the behind the scenes, hold up the green screen again, and joke about the ugly couch, right? Hit upload on the button for the show that was all ready to go. So that's not going to take a lot of energy at any rate. I just felt it necessary for some personal insight, for you to better understand me, to know where I'm coming from all the time, because as Don McCauley of the Authors Show wrote of me about my books, and I thank him so much, honor, integrity, and patriotism. For some, those are just words. For best-selling author Joseph M. Leonard, those are everyday values he brings to everything in his life. Paraphrase there a bit, but yeah, the three: honor, integrity, and patriotism, the main core things, absolutely do identify me, and I thank him for saying that. I do use that in my bio, but again, I just don't have the energy to do as much as I once do. But the honor and the integrity part is what I want to point to here. I promise to deal with you in facts and reality, honesty, honestly. Part of what I just told you about my background and how my life is now, that's part of me being honest with you, the audience. Thank you all. Take care. God bless.
The ChristiTutionalist Politics Podcast, normally in conjunction and corresponding with articles, can normally, for the Saturday monologue shows, be found at theforgenews.com, Substack, and find extended show notes, including related links, in the Buzzsprout episode edition of the Transcript. Thank you for having tuned in for ChristiTutionalist Politics Show. If you haven't already, please check out my primary internationally available book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you. Available anywhere books are sold. If you have locally run bookstores still near you, they can order it for you. And let me remind, over time, the fancy high production items will come. But for now, for starters, it's just you as a very appreciated listener by me. All substance, no fluff, just straight to key discussion points. A show that looks at a variety of topics, mostly politics, through a Christian U.S. constitutionalist lens. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Take care. God bless. Like and subscribe to ChristiTutionalist Politics Podcast and share episodes. We need your help.
Wham Radio, 1600 AM and 92.7 FM is your conservative flamethrower. Weekdays, Steve Gruber starts things off at 6 a.m. Gruber gives his perspective on the issues of the day. At 9 a.m., Glenn Beck blazes the airwaves with his nationally syndicated program. From noon to 3, it's Dennis Prager. At 3 o'clock, it's Wham's own Thayrone X. On the Edge, Thayrone tells it exactly as he sees it. At 6, it's The Dana Show, your conservative alternative. At 8, don't miss Joe Pags. Weekends are filled with conservative talk as well. Fingers Malloy, Thomas LeDuc, The Abolitionists Roundtable, A Moment of Clarity with Pastor Rick, Your American Heritage with Ed Bondarenka, Dave Janda's Operation Freedom, and Dick Kupke's Trigger Talk. You can even get links to Wham podcasts from Dave, Dick, and of course Thayrone, all from their pages on our website, whamradio.com. Keep it locked on Wham Radio, 1600 AM and 92.7 FM in southeastern Michigan, and whamradio.com anywhere in the world.